So recently I took on the tremendously tedious task of 100%ing Sonic Generations on my Xbox. That's getting all the achievements, all the S ranks, all the statues, and all the collectibles, and honestly, I didn't like it. But that made me think about the version of Sonic Generations that I do like. In my opinion, the superior version of Sonic Generations is on the 3DS, and there's only one problem I have with it, and that's the levels don't reference other handheld games. On its own, it doesn't sound like a problem, but you gotta realize that it was a slam dunk for the developers to celebrate Sonic's rich handheld history. I believe I heard somewhere that that was the original intent for the 3DS version, to honor Sonic's classic handheld history, but I guess plans fell through because I'm making this video now. Before we get into the stages that I would have picked, some ground rules I'd like to set. No two stages can come from the same game. Succeeding stages must come from succeeding games, obviously. And finally, I would like to divide the stages into these eras. The classic era from 1991 to 2000, the golden age era from 2000 to 2005, and the modern era from 2005 to 2011. Obviously, the games I'm choosing from are originally handheld experiences, barring the Game Gear titles because of how similar they are to the Master System counterparts. It's basically the same game, and with that, let's just speed on into this. So we're actually going to start with the special stages, and originally I was going to say why not give each era their own special stage, but then I kind of decided that, like the actual game, the special stages are all just going to be one experience. For some odd reason, the 3DS version landed on the Sonic Heroes special stage, but personally I think that the Sonic Rush special stage would have worked a lot better, if not, the same. You wouldn't even have to change the gameplay that much. I mean, the boost still works, the bombs still work, all you had to do was add ring gates and little quick time events to get rings. They probably didn't choose this one because of touchscreen controls, but that's such a lame excuse. Not only are the special stages based on the most iconic ones in the whole series, but a modern take on them which improves on them in many aspects. I also briefly considered many of the special stages from the Sonic Advance series, but they're kind of bland and simplistic, and I also considered the Game Gear Sonic 1 special stages, but 1, you don't get emeralds from those, and 2, it's just more level. Firstly, Green Hill Zone obviously is the most memorable, most iconic, most reused Sonic zone in the whole series, and honestly I think they made the right choice with choosing Green Hill Zone, but not the Genesis rendition. To nobody's surprise, I'm choosing the 8-bit Sonic 1's Green Hill Zone as the opening stage, just like the console version at Sonic's first level ever, but I'm choosing the first stage on the first handheld experience. It should be noted that for my hypothetical Sonic Generations 3DS, each stage's Act 1 will be a replica to the original layout as best they can given Classic Sonic's new moveset, and Act 2's will have the same level theme as the Act 2's from the original game, but a little bit of modern gimmicks, a little bit of modern flair to make them a little different. In this case, the flair or gimmick of having the tiki totems as obstacles as well as having rails and boosters scattered all around to get the player used to modern Sonic's different moveset is perfect. No notes, we're keeping that. The only thing I would add is the section in the console version where the giant chopper chases Sonic out. I think that's perfect. I think the 3DS version sorely lacked that. We're adding that. Replacing Casino Night, I'm choosing Gigopolis Zone from Sonic Chaos. I mean, this zone takes place right in the middle of a city, I think. I mean, yeah, there's cities in the background, but the foreground also looks like a building, so whatever. The zone shares the same nighttime city that Casino Night has, and especially for Act 1, you can get loads of rings, enough to get at least 2, maybe 3 special stages in the original game. And for the gimmick in Act 2, I would incorporate the zone's end boss, similar to Mirage Saloon Zone for Sonic Mania. I'd have the B-Worm jump out at certain points in the stage, and maybe you'd have to dodge its segments on the main path. And at the end of the zone, much like the chopper chase, maybe you'd have to homing attack the segments, back at the B-Worm, and defeat it. Also, if I'm correct about this being inside the city or around a city, I would add a section where you're on the actual road, similar to Speed Highway from Sonic Adventure. For the final stage of the classic era, I'm choosing Red Volcano Zone from Sonic Blast. I choose this zone because it feels the same dystopian lava vibe that Crisis City does in the console game, and it adds diversity in the classic era zone selection. The 3DS version choosing Mushroom Hill I kinda get, but it's just so similar to Green Hill Zone, except for the seasons changing in Act 2, that I just don't think it has enough diversity and in my version, Red Volcano adds just that much more diversity to differentiate the third zone from the first zone. And also in this hypothetical, Act 1's going to be the same as Red Volcano from Sonic Blast. It'll be a 40-second level with not much going on. But I have a wild idea for Act 2. What if Act 2 was vertical based and it was Sonic escaping the volcano before it erupts? It could be similar to those Mario Castle levels where the lava's rising and you can't let it hit you or else you lose. And I think that would make for such a unique level. And I also think, as stupid as it's gonna sound, it's gonna reference Knuckles Chaotix more vertically based levels. And speaking of Knuckles, for the rival fights, I keep it mostly the same, whereas you're basically just racing another character to the goal while they hurl attacks at you to slow you down, and you can attack them to slow them down, similar to Sonic Rivals, which I'm led to believe is what the 3DS version based their rival races on. And for the boss fights, it would basically just be the original game's boss fight, but with a little modern flair to make it just that much more unique. Starting with the first rival fight, I'm going with Knuckles the Echidna from Sonic Triple Trouble's Title Plant Zone. In his earlier appearances, Knuckles acted as a major rival to Sonic, and being one of the major villains of Sonic Triple Trouble, I think it fits right in. Knuckles wasn't even really in the 3DS version of Generations, and I think the story could be easily worked around as to why Knuckles all of a sudden decided Sonic was no longer a good guy, and in his eyes, maybe beating him would take him out of white space, I don't know. As for the actual boss, it would just be him in his little knockoff Eggmobile shooting his missiles and little black balls. I don't know if I'd personally have the fight take place underwater because it's supposed to be a race and water makes Sonic slow, and the original fight was an auto-scroller, and that already kind of puts an imposed time limit on it, and races already also have an imposed time limit on it, but I digress. It's gonna sound a little greedy, but for the boss fight, maybe controversially, I'm choosing Bang the Sniper, Act the Weasel, Get the Jerboa. I don't really know what they call him, but I'm choosing him. Back when he was introduced, he was basically one of the 7 main Sonic characters, and he was actually the 3rd villain in Sonic Triple Trouble. He would have been a great niche pick in 2011, and honestly, I couldn't find a good Robotnik machine from this era that could act as a better boss. The actual fight would be similar to the Big Arm fight in the final game. It would just be basically the same boss fight from the original game, but with like 1 or 2 little new added features to keep it not stale. I can see why somebody would choose this purple guy as the rival pick and another miscellaneous mech from the other games as the boss, but these are my picks for the classic era bosses. Starting off with the era I've dubbed the Golden Age, I'm choosing Sonic Pocket Adventures Aquatic Relix Zone. It serves the same purpose as Emerald Coast, being a halfway water level, though instead of a beach, it's a ruin. It's heavily based on Aquatic Ruin Zone from Sonic 2, and so taking from that, Act 2's gimmick, rather boringly, could incorporate the foliage, which could maybe obscure the faster path outside the water, or maybe require a boost to uncover hidden pathways, or something to that effect. On top of that, I feel like this would be great representation of one of the best Sonic handheld games that there ever was, which has never been re-released and has never been included in anything, not even the titles list in Sonic Generation 3DS's Street Pass. So maybe I should choose a different zone for logistical reasons, but I'm not doing that. For the second and final stage from the Golden Age, I'm choosing Sonic Advance 3D's Toy Kingdom. It's among the most unique zones in any Sonic game. It's got super vibrant colors, and the theme is halfway between a toy store and an amusement park. The main thing with Sonic Advance 3 is that you team up characters for unique abilities and ways around stages, and I could sit here and suggest something crazy like having each act have a different partner for Sonic, but I'm just not going to do that. The gimmick for Act 2 could incorporate these Ferris wheel type objects along with these little bars that remind me of the Sonic Rush special stage entrances with modern Sonic. Could you boost off them and gain height to take the upper routes maybe? For the second rival race, I'm keeping the same pick as the original game, Shadow the Hedgehog. Sonic races Shadow in Sky Park Zone and Sonic Rivals, which is also a handheld game, and you can't really have a Sonic game without Shadow, especially not in the edgy 2000s, so I think the developers made a good pick. No notes. For the boss fight, in this era, I just don't think there's any other pick than Emerald from Sonic Battle. Emerald could have attacks based on the skill cards from the game, and if I was really greedy, his moveset could differ every time you play the level, which I could see making the S rank really annoying, but I think just that much more detail into a character would go a long way. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to talk much about my favorite Sonic game, Sonic Rush, and the superior version of Sonic Colors on the DS. I'm not elaborating. Anyways, I wouldn't replace these zones because I think they're perfect choices as is, even given my rules. They're both stages from the modern era of handheld games, and the only thing I could knock for is choosing Tropical Resort as opposed to a later stage, like Asteroid Coaster, which could have had a modern use of the Void Wisp instead of a laser or something. Just for some fun, a little bit of bonus, a little bit of a cop-out here, let's choose a stage from Sonic 4 Episode 1, which does count as a handheld game. You can look it up, it's on screen right now. Strangely enough, this was actually really challenging because I was genuinely considering 75% of all the game zones, which really isn't saying much, but who's counting? Because at first, I thought Casino Street would fill that casino-shaped void that in Act 2 could have that score gimmick from Sonic 4, but no. Of course, Splash Hill Zone is the most iconic zone from the game. It's got some great music, and that's pretty much it. And I just ragged on Sonic Colors for choosing its first stage, so I don't think it'd be fair to Sonic 4, and Sonic 4 needs all the credence it can get, which narrows down to Mad Gear because not Lost Labyrinth. Mad Gear is super similar to Metropolis Zone from Sonic 2, and just like Metropolis, I think it could act as a penultimate ultimate zone, being that last full zone before the final zone. Since Mad Gear already takes a lot of cues from Scrap Brain, for Act 2 I'd lean more into that. I would add those anti-gravity things from Scrap Brain Act 2 and maybe think about keeping the cog gimmick from Sonic 4, but that is a big maybe. For the final rival race, Johnny. You know, I think the race could even break the mold of the other races and recreate the jet ski from Sonic Quest Adventure just for that little more referencing. And for the final, not final boss, I suggest Blaze the Cat. She's already the rival character in Sonic Rush, and her fight already kind of loosely references the Sonic OVA, which is not only cool in its own, but it adds a little bit more Sonic references in the celebratory Sonic game full of Sonic references. Just as a little thing here, Time Meter is going to remain the same. I think the boss fight itself is already pretty good for a final boss. It's challenging, but not obnoxiously so, unless you're bad. But also, Time Meter has to be the final boss. He's the reason they're in white space. Eggman's controlling him. It's part of the story. I'm definitely not changing Time Meter. You need Time Meter for Sonic Generations. And that's about it. Had I been in charge in 2011 of choosing the stages, these are the ones that I would choose. Also, throughout this video, I came to a strange realization about the 3DS version. Each stage of that game was chosen from a game that was previously on a Nintendo console. Which doesn't sound strange. I mean, pretty much every Sonic game has been on a Nintendo console, save for the PSP exclusive Rivals games and Sonic 06, but that was just something strange that I happened to notice, and I could honestly be completely incorrect about that. Anyways, thanks for watching my silly little video, and honestly, I'd love to hear what stages you'd add to your hypothetical perfect Sonic Generations 3DS. If you enjoyed it, I appreciate a subscription and a like. It's not much, but it really helps me grow, and it does more than you know. Bye bye.